Hello everyone, I am Pooja Rawat and in this video we will cover chapter 1 how, when and where. Look at these three words how, when and where. These are all three words associated with history or any past event. For example, how did that happen? When did that happen? Where it happened? These are all past events. Of course, from grammar point of view, you can always use these three words for future events like how is it going to happen? Where will it happen? Where is it going to happen? Where is it going to take place? So all of these are future events. Since we are reading history here, so we will stick to the past event. The first topic of the chapter is how important are dates. When we read history, we see a lot of dates, and this is the reason history is boring because it is get difficult to remember so many dates. So you must understand that history is much more than dates. It's actually a comparison of past and present and what happened versus what it is now. If you are excited to do this comparison, only then you will find history interesting. For example, when you drink tea or coffee, you could ask the question, when did people begin to drink tea and how did tea plantation started in India? Notice there could two set of question, that is when and how. The how part is the explanation, reason, and the when part is the date we are asking for. So history is associated with dates which make a easier. However, you need to understand that history and dates, these are the things that make comparison easier. There can be no one clear date for any events to occur since we do not have any solid historical proof to determine the actual time. Therefore, we have to rely on a proximate period or which particular change or particular event become visible. For example, we cannot fix one single date on which British rule has established in India. I mean that we know that British East India Company came to India first in 1608, then they started ruling India from 1757 onward, but we cannot fix one date on which British rule started. We have an approximate date. I hope you are getting what I am saying. Now, the next topic is the crucial one. By in this topic we will read that by what criteria do we choose a set of date as important. So you need to understand that first of all, not all the historical dates are important. So the one date is important is purely due to that event that occurred during that particular time. For example, the date 1608 doesn't make any sense if we didn't link up it with the arrival date of East India Company. Therefore, that's the event that make the date important. How now that I have said this, if our focus of study changes, if we begin to look at new issues, a new set of dates will appear significant meaning. If we give importance to any particular event, due to that we can create importance of a particular date. I hope that make a sense. So personally, when I read this line, it make me think how many of such events of our history are not recognized just because we have not given much important to them, and due to which they must have missed so many important dates or not. Anyways, now we have a very good example here. If you see most of histories of India written by British historian, because they were all the rulers, they were highly educated. These historians began their writing with the rule of the first Governor General Warren Hastings and ended with the last Viceroy Lord Mountbatten. Most of the content is associated with these personalities who were Governor General, and it used to be all of their activities, policies, achievement, etc. It was as if there was nothing else important apart from their personalities and anything. This is not a correct way of drafting a history. Now, you know that we can write the history in a different way, such as different groups and classes of India and society, Indian society during the era of so Governor General. Now, whenever we write history or any other story, we divided it into chapter so that it easy to cover each topic in detail. It should make sense and can be followed in framing the big picture. The most of the time in a story, the events usually occur around a particular character. So this is what is the problem, because in the history written by the British historian, most of the content is around the life of the British Governor General and their life, their duties, their lavish living, and all these things. Their activities of Indians simply do not fit with their stories. Indians has no space in their stories. Hence, we need another format of history where all the events are related to India. This would mean that all details will no longer have the importance earlier had. A new set of dates become more important for us. To now, just like we read in the beginning, give importance to any particular event, automatically the date associated with that will become important. So, if we start a new format of history, how do we set the timeline? Let's look the one approach done by James Mill in 1817. What he did was he divided Indian history into three periods, that is Hindu, Muslim, and British. The reason behind this was before the British came to India, Hindu and Muslim ruled the country. That is true. There was lots of discrimination based on religion, caste, and superstitious activity. All of that reason, James Mill thought only British rule could civilize India and help Indians get out of all the social stigma. He also felt it was necessary to introduce European manners, caste, institution, and laws in India. Basically, what he meant was in India, the time before British rule was full of darkness. And after the British arrival, India started progressing and get civilized. Now, this kind of meaning cannot be accepted today, primarily because of the act that there was no single period of history. There was a no single period of history that referred to Hindu or Muslim different, because Hindu or Muslim both faith existed together at that time. And if you see rulers like Akbar, who was very tolerant toward Hindu faith, and he even had a Hindu finance minister named Todermal. So there is no point of categorizing period based on the religion of the rulers. Hence we discuss another division of Indian history. It is ancient, medieval, and modern. The reason behind this division is present a transition from ancient to medieval period, where now society develop and growth of all the source of modernity like science, reason, democracy, liberty, and equality. But again, this kind of division has a problem as well. According to the division, when we say the society is moving from ancient to modern, that was not completely true, because the modern period is associated with British rule. And if you see, people didn't have equality, freedom, and liberty or any economic growth in this period. That's why many historians refer it to as colonial period. They say that this was the colonial period. Now the question occur in your mind is that what is the meaning of the word colonial? It means establishment of a colony in one territory, but by political power of another territory. So the moment British took over India, India became a colony. This entire history book of class 8 is about how British control over India, its economy and society as well. And also we will read about the changes British rule brought about in values and tastes, customs and practice. Now the big question is, how do historians write history? What are the sources they refer? There has to be some sources or evidence that can be guide us, especially about last 250 years of Indian history. So the answer to that question is that official record of British administration or any other official document serve as an evidence and proof. I think we all can agree on that they believe in the act of writing. They write everything, and instruction, plan, policies, decision, agreement, investigations. They write everything, and everything had to be clearly written up so that a good things, because if we write down things we can later on study further on, debate on it. So this is something the British did religiously. They made report and record of almost everything. Now I want you to imagine this: if you write everything, then you must also keep it safe, right? Therefore, the British made a record room in all of the administration institution to prevent all important document and letter. Now this is the another important step they took. And totally, if you look around school, hospital, office, everywhere, you will have a record room or an administrative office to keep all the documents and information safe. Now you can think about it, how this idea came and from where it came. In Delhi, we also have a national museum and a national record room. It is a room in which all the documents and letter of the government and various administration has been arranged as per the dates. It's called archives. This place has all the documents from 18th century and they are preserved in a very good condition. One beautiful thing to notice about documents that the British produced, they were written by the calligrapher. These people has beautiful handwritings, and with the introduction of printing machine, these records with such beautiful handwritings go for printed, and they were all spreaded around the world. That's how each government started using similar handwriting for official work, so that one can easily look at the letters and identify its importance based on the handwriting. Apart from writing record and building records rooms, the British did another important thing was conducting survey. They were started survey in India because they think that survey is very important. It was a common act under the colonial administration. The British believed that a country had to be properly known before it could be effectively administered. Example, if you want to sell a product to someone, you will have to know anything about that product, everything about that product. To educate someone, only then you can easily sell the product. Therefore, the whole idea of knowing the country is possible through massive surveys. Surveys can gather information through different method of observation. If you see today, government does many survey for implement for social and economic schemes and policies. The biggest survey we can remember is the census in every 10 years to record the population of the country. By the earlier 19th century, the British conducted detailed survey to literally map the entire country. I want you to understand how systematically they did this. In the village, the revenue survey were conducted. They are done to know this survey to know the income and capacity of the particular place. So it is also to be known the to topography and soil quality, the flora and the fauna and the local history and the cropping pattern. All these facts are important to know about to administer the region. From the end of the 19th century, census operations were held in every 10 years. These prepared detailed record of number of the people in all the province of India, and this gives us a lot of information about our country. There are many other survey like botanical survey, geological survey, archaeological survey, anthropological survey, forest survey. Just imagine all these data is so helpful to monitor a nation and its resources. Now let's read the last topic of the chapter, what official record do not tell. मतलब what they do not tell us. This is an interesting turning point in this chapter. So try to understand this carefully. Always remember the off record. They tell us what the official thought. That is what the British government wanted. Record do not tell what the common people of the country tell. What they want. And to know these information, we have to look somewhere else. We will not find them in official record. So where can we find them? They can be found in personal diaries of the people. And another the account of the pilgrimage and travelers and autobiography of important personalities. Popular book of that time because They are also very important. Print, Printing press was active at that time. All these things were written by those who were literate, but it is very difficult to know about those people who were not literate, because illiterate people cannot write their history or write anything, so we don't have any data about their life. Now think. Hello everyone, I am Pooja Rawat, and in this video we will cover chapter 1, how, when and where. Look at these three words, how, when and where. These are all three words associated with history or any past event. For example, how did that happen? When did that happen? Where it happened? These are all past events. Of course, from grammar point of view, you can always use these three words for future events like how is it going to happen? Where will it happen?